What's up, everybody? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, facebook.com/the Hardy Construction, as well as Instagram at Hardy Construction with your host Komp.
You just said lots of words.
And today we're talking
Inuyashiki, which is anime, manga, and soon to be a live action. Or is it a live action already?
it's coming soon, actually in a couple months of the year 2018.
Okay.
So Inuyashiki is a 2017 animated series, and it is about an old man and a young man who get destroyed and reassembled by alien technology. One becomes a hero, one becomes a bastardo.
And you'll never guess which one is named hero.
Yes.
And which one is the actual hero.
It's ironic. But this is a show, it's actually a manga that was created by Hiroya Oku. And if that name is familiar to anybody who reads manga, they know about Gantz, which was a pretty long-running series, which is I don't know how to say if I suggest that show or not. It's an interesting manga. It's a beautiful-looking manga. It's a strange manga, which is also science fiction.
They fucked it up at the end.
For the animation, of course, yes. The show itself was never really strong plot-wise. It was just sort of an entertainment kind of manga, where it was like a shock fest sort of manga, which that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're into that, but if you're looking for a long-standing plot, I don't think it was more of a soap opera with science fiction leanings, but not like corny soap opera, just bizarre soap opera. But I'd suggest it. They made 2 live-action movies directed by the guy who did I Am a Hero, so the movie wasn't actually
so it's got to be somewhat decent.
Yes, it is. The first movie I saw, I didn't see the second one. I don't know why, but I will now that I know that director did that. And but anyway, let me just preface what Gantz is, because it's actually referenced in this series. So for the first couple minutes, I'll say for the first 7 minutes of this episode, we won't spoil the show. We'll just kind of get a general, because I'm yapping right now, a general overview of what the show is, and then we'll get into spoiler territory right after it. But anyway, Gantz was a very big series that Hiroya Oku created, which is about people who died and they wake up in this room that has a giant black sphere in it. And the sphere opens up and gives them guns, and it says you have to hunt down these aliens, and you get certain points. If you get these points, you get to pick whatever from a select group of weapons. You either get to revive a person that's died from previous missions, or and once you get up to 100 points, you can kind of just be let free. And so that show
Who's
follows
in charge
that.
of this? Like God or something?
It's not explained. It really isn't explained towards the last. Even to the last issue, I was sort of like, "What's going on here?" They sort of explain it. It's interesting, but the animation, they sort of came up with their own ending and fucked it up royally. So I would suggest actually watching the first half of the anime, because it's pretty straight to the comic.
Why do people say that fucked it up royally? Royally would imply in a kingly manner.
It's almost like, people in charge of, countries, they can fuck things up royally. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Ah, okay.
That's what I'm taking a guess. Anyway, so Inuyashiki, created by Hiroya Oku. It's a manga that's the same artist, obviously, who did Gantz as well. He wrote both. It's published by Kodansha, which is obviously a big Japanese publishing company in Japan, guess it or not. It ran from January 2014 to July of 2017. So it pretty much ended a couple months before the show began, or where we saw it.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot more issues than there are episodes.
That was the manga. The television show ran from October 2017 to December 22nd, 2017. So it actually October, November, So the show actually ran during the before it began right after the comic ended. But anyway, right. So this show, this is the plot per Wikipedia.
It's only 11 episodes, too.
Yeah, Inuyashiki Ichiro is a middle-aged, friendless man with an uncaring family. One fateful evening, he is struck by a mysterious explosion in a public park, which is of extraterrestrial origin. Essentially what I just said at the beginning. The animation is produced by MAPPA. So they did a really good job with it. It's the same with Gantz. I don't think Gantz.
It has some CGI, but I actually don't mind it.
Yeah, it's not offensive CGI. I would also say the opening credits by the Japanese rock band Man with a Mission.
Oh, that's great.
If you see I think it's called "Hit Me on the Ground" or something like that.
It's so dramatic.
Oh no, the song is called "My Hero." It's a really good song. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Rage Against the Machine for some reason. And the man with a mission are guys that wear giant wolf masks, and they actually sing with these giant wolf masks on. It's
Oh,
very
that's
interesting. Yeah,
great,
if you ever look
actually.
them up, it's very strange. Anyway, so just your first impressions of the series, because I actually suggested this series to you, right?
Yeah, well, I was looking. I've been on a bit of wanting to get into anime kick, and so I wanted something short. And this, I guess, just came out, and you recommended it, and it was great. I
Yeah,
actually get to watch it as it was coming out for a change, instead of like 10 years after the fact.
yeah. It was like that's the thing about watching certain animation shows that are new. It's like you have that painful waiting a week per week for episodes. So you're like, oh Jesus, like
Yeah.
I want to see what happens next. Usually, if you you watch it on Netflix, you're just
Well, that
binging
was
it.
this was a first for me to have that experience because usually I'm always very late to anime,
Yes, we're
and
thankful
like
to
there's a
everybody
million.
that we're very thankful to
What?
anybody that fan subs series because they're doing that for free just to show other people. They subtitle it, people that know Japanese, and
Yeah,
as it's because we're already coming up to our 7th minute already.
they could be totally fucking with us.
The show is violent. It's extreme. It's very. It's not as action oriented as you would think it would be with those opening credits. It's more. It's almost sort of a character study for about 60% of the series,
Very
which isn't a
depressing
bad
character
thing.
study.
It is a very strange show in the fact that it's following this old man who's trying to find his humanity as he is no longer human, in a sense. And I really think that. I mean, it was my favorite animation of 2017, I guess, like the Japanese series. I
Yeah.
really, really fucking enjoyed the show, like with no question
Oh,
about
it's
it.
amazing.
And I think the fight between the two main characters. There's little things that I saw. I didn't get to read the manga, but I did see something from the books that did not match, or stuff they left out, which
You
I
said the
thought
way
were
that they
way
found the dog.
over. Yes, that
Zua.
stuff. Anyway, short thing short. It's past 7 minutes. I would suggest this show completely. I would give it a high rating. You should watch it and then listen to the rest of this episode. It's only 11 episodes. What do you think, Danny?
I think. Well, we're gonna spoil it now. Yeah, yeah, definitely watch it for sure. It's
Okay.
amazing.
So spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So with Inuyashiki,
Spoil.
this show, what are your direct impressions from the whole series itself, the season, the 11 episodes, which is it's a finite.
It's really depressing.
In what way?
Like you just feel so bad for this old man and like his family at the end, and like this kid is so fucked up and his friend is so fucked up. They're all so fucked up and sad. Although I mean it does have a nice feeling too, but I don't know. It like made me really sad. Like I almost cried a couple times.
So there's about 5 main characters in this season that we follow constantly. There's Ichiro Inuyashiki, who's the main character, who's this older guy, and I guess it's explained in the manga that he has a sort of a disease that makes him look older than he's supposed to be.
Right.
He's 58, but he looks about 60, late
He's got the
60s or
Jack
something.
disease.
And yes, and there's also Hiro Shishigami, who's the antagonist of the series, who's this young guy. He's a teenager, and he's like a good-looking kid. He looks like he kind of. They don't really show him in school during the show. We just kind of see him already, affected by the machinery and inside of a system. And
Yeah.
he's a disaffected, sort of detached kid. And
He's a good guy.
we learn later on that he had seen somebody commit suicide in front of a train, and that it like caused such a ruckus that he wanted to continue to see people feel by doing that. I think that's what I gleaned off of it. There's Noyuki Ando, who is the best friend of Hiro when they were in school, and he's a kid who keeps getting bullied, and Hiro takes care of that for him. There's Mari Inushiki, who's Ichiro's daughter, and she sort of is two-dimensional at the very beginning of the show, but she does
Yeah.
get some sort of character arc. I'm not sure. Like, I don't really think she gets
No,
that.
she does. She realizes she stops being like stereotype, like bitchy, angsty daughter, and becomes like she appreciates her dad.
Yeah, I was laughing that they put this other kid who's like a subplot for the daughter, Mari, that she becomes like she has some sort of rivalry with some kid who I guess was born into a mangaka family who draws comic books. So she wants to draw comic books, and there's like one
Yeah.
episode where she's just like really rude to him, and the kid is just like has unless he's like built up in the comic book for some reason.
I feel like they like wrote something in and then removed
They
it.
just removed it, or like they just left it out. They totally omitted it because she's
like but they like forgot to get rid of that one part.
because she's really like rude to him in one of the shows, and then at the last episode, she's like rude to him again on the final episode, and he's just like shocked that he lost the contest that they were having, and I was like, what the fuck was the point? We didn't even like. I didn't dislike the kid because I don't know who he is. He was just sort of like a random kid that got fucked with, but whatever. There's also Shion Watanabe, who is the girl that actually falls in love with Hiro because
what the hell was her name? Like pube face or pube
head,
eyelashes?
They called her hair
pube head, yeah.
Like so these are the main 5 characters in the show. There's also Inuyashiki's son and his wife, but they didn't really matter much, I guess, in the show. And there's sort of ancillary characters on the side. There's like chief detective and stuff like that, but they don't really matter in the series. It's really just seeing episodes that sometimes episodes are dedicated to Hiro, and most of the episodes are dealing with Ichiro. They have like a one-off episode where he saves this woman who's like repeatedly raped by this piece of shit mafia, or I mean, sorry.
Oh yeah.
What are they called in Japan? The
Yakuza.
Yakuza guys.
There's a couple of only Shishigami episodes though. There's like 1 or 2 where it's like basically just him the whole time. The one where he goes to that house.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Like,
like there's a couple episodes with him dealing. Like the second episode I think was just him. That's what I thought the show was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like one episode Ichiro and then the next episode Hiro. Like I thought it was gonna flip back and forth. But like I would say there's probably 4 Hiro episodes out of the 11, that just focus on him and don't have Inuyashiki at all. And Inuyashiki is the word Inu means dog, so I don't know if they were. I assume that is sort of like a blatant reference to this guy who's treated like a dog by society. And he only finds the only person that loves him back in the series at the beginning of the episode.
Damn, I wish I could be treated like a dog. They get so much love and attention.
He finds that little dog. I think it's what is that kind of dog called? Oh, it's like a
Nikita.
A Nikita.
It's Nikita?
It's a Nikita, yeah, Akita.
Okay.
It's a Nikita. He finds it in the animation. He finds it like randomly in the park or something like that. In the actual manga, he actually adopts the dog. And Danny and I were like torn.
Is that before or after becoming a cyborg?
Before a cyborg, he finds a dog. That's why he finds a dog, and the dog's the only one that's like showing him any love, and that's why he's crying, holding the dog before he gets blown to pieces by the.
Right.
Thank God the dog ran away because the dog would have been a cyber dog too, which would have been cool. Then that might have given.
That would have been really cool.
But then it was
you see the dog becomes the villain.
Yeah, I know, right? It would just be peeing on people.
It kills cats.
Yeah, right. And mailmen. But I think that also you and I were like discussing like I don't know whether the dog ran away again and was put back in the pound. I was like, because in the manga you see
with the vibe of this one, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you see a picture of the dog back in the pound because at the very like final panel, before Inuyashiki obviously commits suicide to save the world, he that's one panel that I wish they had kept. I remember I showed it to you that he's like thinking about his whole family and his dog, and he embraces nothing, sort of like to give them a hug before he explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
so depressing. Like,
it's such a beautiful image, but it's not in the actual animation. I was like, why is that not in there? I was like, why didn't you?
Yeah, that would have been perfect. I don't know why.
But I think as a whole, I think the show, does what it's looking to do, as in having this character, this old man, find his humanity and find a purpose in his existence. And it's very sad, but it's also hopeful in a way. It's more sad than hopeful as a series, but I wasn't left completely obliterated by it. Like, because there's Asian cinema. Well, most
if it was South Korean, the family would have died too.
The meteor still would have blown up.
The meteor would have shattered and killed just his family.
But there are things about it that I think I like. Like, to me, that sequence where his daughter essentially dies in the fire.
Oh, the fire scene, yeah.
And she dies, and they're spending 5 to 7 minutes of him trying to revive her. And I was like, that bummed me out. Like, I was watching it getting fucking bummed out. Like, this is a cartoon. Like, this is animation. And this
I've
shows you
seen
where,
that
like,
in real life, and that fucking sucks
I know
to see.
it's horrifying to see something like that in real life, and these characters are doing this, and I'm like, this is like cells. These are animations. These are like images flipped on another, but the direction of it and the look of it is so good that you actually
You think
feel
they'll ever
something
dub
about it.
this? And do you think it will be as good as
I would
the?
assume they would. This is a series that would be perfect for Netflix. Like, I can't believe why this
Yeah.
show would not be on Netflix right now, because there's a lot of series that automatically come to Netflix, and
Hmm.
this show is like 11 episodes. It's adult oriented. It's got good action. It's got good plot movement. I mean, it's
That's
very.
amazing. And even though I mean I guess technically it's a sci-fi, not a
It's a
horror,
science
but there's
fiction
some
show, yeah.
there is some horror shit in there. Like
Yeah, because you were like automatically
yeah.
saying, because I mean the violence here is essentially the same violence we saw in Lesson of the Evil. When the
I
teacher's
mean this
killing all the students.
guy's the idea. It's like he's like Terminator. He's like a serial
Yeah,
killer that's
that's true. Yeah.
unstoppable. And it's like it is creepy. He goes in that person's house and he's just killing them, and they can't do anything. Like it's really fucked up.
Yeah, that was your argument for us talking about the show, because I wasn't sure, but I was
Plus,
like,
it's
yeah,
just
you're
fucking
right.
cool.
It is a good show. It is a show that I think, in the fact that we're talking about it, as little people that listen to the show, go watch it and then tell other people to watch it, because it's
Yo,
worth.
it's really good.
Because if
Really
you're like
good.
on the fence about watching Japanese animation and you think Japanese animation is just about fucking like cartoon kids or cats and doing weird shit and doing cutesy stuff, this is the total antithesis of that. It's like,
Yeah, there's nothing cutesy about this. And I know people that like really don't like subtitles and shit,
right.
which I don't mind them, but like I understand it's hard to keep track for some people. So like, yeah, eventually it will be dubbed maybe. Like,
Yeah, and
it's a good enough show.
I mean, the voice acting is very good in the Japanese, especially the guy who's playing Ichiro.
No, but some people just like can't like pay attention to subtitles. They just have trouble with it. So I get that, but like
The guy
eventually
who-
when it gets dubbed, then watch it.
Yeah, there's real points for the guy who plays Ichiro Inuyashiki. His name is Noritaki Kanashi. I'm reading it off the wiki right now, and I mean his acting is so fucking good. Like, I think he's actually played by the guy who's doing his voice is like the same age, near the same age, and he
Okay.
really sounds like a very good actor. Like, in Japan, they take voice act, like, I'm sure in America they take voice acting very seriously. Sort of like Mark Hamill when he does the Joker and stuff like that. Like, there are some stalwarts, but they actually have like magazines dedicated to the voice actors over there. Like, voice actors
That's
over
cool.
there are they're held in high esteem. So I think that when they take their animation here seriously in Japanese,
This guy's in a lot of stuff too.
yeah.
Look at his. He's in a bunch of shit. Wow.
So let's kind of skim through the episodes, since there's only 11 of them.
Okay,
Ichiro
yeah.
Inuyashiki. In episode 1, this is when Inuyashiki is diagnosed with stomach cancer. We see that his family is not, really responsive to him as a man. He goes
He's
to
just
work.
like this old, beaten down guy. Like,
Yeah.
who's gonna die and nobody loves him.
And he goes to the park one day and he sees, he takes his dog with him and he starts crying. And there's a guy who he doesn't see. He just sees the back of some teenage kid. Although you can't really tell if it's an adult or a teenage kid. There's a huge explosion, and then we hear all these like alien voices saying, "Ah, fuck it, aren't we gonna blow up this whole planet anyway?" And they say, "We'll get
Honestly,
in
that's
trouble."
the dumbest part of
It
the
is.
show, in my opinion.
But it's also the funniest thing, because it's like, in reality, like, if something like that had happened, let's say something like that happened, and they just wanted to cover their tracks just like any lazy American would, they
Yeah.
would just do it and get the fuck out of the way. There's no explanation about the aliens. None of that is explained. It's just sort of
They're like, oops, we fucked up. Let's make like this. For them, it's probably like low grade technology
right.
rebuilding, but for us, it's like insane. But I mean, that aspect, like when I've told people about the show and I have to start it out with that, I'm like always like, they're not
You're
gonna want to
embarrassed.
watch
They're
it
gonna be like,
because it
"This is
sounds
dumb."
stupid.
Yeah, you should probably leave that
Yeah,
out.
but
Just be like, "Hey,
but
it's
that's
stupid."
the only part that's kind of dumb. After that, it's just fucking brilliant.
So at the beginning, at the near end of that episode, we get to see Inuyashiki's heroicism. Is that the word, or hero? Yeah, heroicism.
Heroicism.
When he
Heroics?
decides heroics. There you go. Oh my god, my English is horrible. When he decides to save a homeless man, the one who's getting fucked with by those kids throwing rockets at him because they've killed people before by hitting them with bats and stuff like that.
Little shits.
And then he decides to, through the power of social media, he exposes who those kids are, and they're like, my life's
Right.
over, and I was like, that was so satisfying to see that happen. That's like trying to find the real life trolls, people online,
I'm trying to remember
which
like
is
how
also
he
dumb.
knows how to do that though.
I think it automatically did it because I think he was like it caught their faces, and then I think it cross-referenced their faces online, like through
Okay.
social media, and then it just like exposed them and showed the
Yo,
video
there's
of them
some
beating
like
the people.
dark shit in this. Like those kids fucking with the homeless guy. Like there's a woman that has like cancer and like somebody like spits on her or something weird.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was like really like upsetting.
It's funny because
shit.
people really do that. Like they really do beat
I
homeless
know.
people. I've seen that actually a lot in Japanese cars. I've seen that in Gantz as well. Well, that's also funny. They reference Gantz so many times. Like you see a poster of Gantz in the show like a million times, which always bothers me when I see.
Well,
Work
the friend Ando or whatever
yeah, he reads
has.
Gantz.
He's like in the Gantz.
I always felt it was funny about that. It makes me think about. It reminds me of Curb Your Enthusiasm. You know whenever Larry David talks about that movie that he directed a long time ago. What was that? There's two things on Curb Your Enthusiasm that he references of his own works outside.
Seinfeld.
The finale of Seinfeld, and also he made some movie called Sour Grapes. And then
I don't remember the sour grape.
right, it was a movie he
references.
directed and wrote, and it did not make any money, and people said it was a piece of shit. But those two things are referenced in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he says, "I think they're good. I think they're like." He's just like he will not admit that they're bad. And in here, it's almost like Oka is talking through the bad guy's friend when he says,
Yeah.
"People say Gone sucked. I thought it was good." You know, so it's almost like he's
Yeah,
defending
right.
it, just like Larry David. He's like a Japanese Larry David. He's like pretty good. So in the the second episode of the series, we're dealing with Hero, and stuff like I almost like what does he do? He drives. He's showing his best friend like he's able to control shit. Like he makes all those car crashes, and he kills the bullies that were
Yeah.
bothering his friend. So I mean, you get to see how fucked up this young kid,
And he
who's
discovers
disaffected.
his gun hand.
Yeah, what did you think about that effect, the gun hand effect? Pew pew pew.
I liked it. It was like kind of border. It's like what a kid would do, basically. Like how a kid would think to go about killing people. He didn't have to make that noise or anything. But he just did it like that because that's how he does it.
And he actually
And, yeah.
confronts Inuyashiki at the end of the second episode, thinking he kills him. Or actually, he gets up and then he's just like, "Fuck this!" So he jets out of there. Like they have to take their shirts off because a jetpack comes out of their back and stuff like that. I really, really hope the live
Old
action.
man boobs.
I really hope the live action movie like does it justice. The main guy does not look like him, so I wish they just used the guy who did the voice acting.
What does the main guy look like?
I showed you the trailer. I mean, you saw it, right?
Yeah, I
Unless you
did see it.
completely
I just
forgot
don't.
about it.
I don't remember. It's a while. It's been
Yeah,
a
I
while.
showed you the
Hold on, I'm
trailer.
gonna look at a picture of him. Hold
It's
on.
coming out-
Noritake. I'm looking at him. Hold on.
Oh wait, is it the same guy?
Noritake Kinashi. Yeah,
Hey,
it
it's the
says-
same guy. Okay, fine, whatever then. I'm watching it. It's the same guy who did his voice is playing him in the movie.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm sold. He doesn't really look like him, but you know what? I'm in it. I'm watching it.
Wait, I don't know if that's true. That's not true. Because
We'll
look,
s-
I'm
we'll-
looking at characters voiced by Fumio Kohinata, played by Noritake Kinashi.
Oh, I picked the wrong actor then. Yeah. So Fumio
Yeah.
Kohinata.
In any case,
excuse
he
me.
looks good though. I'm looking at
I
the
wheel
guy.
it back. Fumio Kohinata is the actual voice of Inuyashiki. I like skimmed
Yeah,
over
and he's
that.
been in a lot of stuff too.
And he's an
then-
excellent actor. That's the voice actor I thought was great. Noritake.
But he's
looks
been
nothing
like the
Inuyashiki.
voice guy has actually been in live action stuff, so he could have been, but he probably doesn't look like him.
Now you bummed me out. There you go. So third episode, Hero and Ando, stuff like that. Fuck going through every episode. Anyway, we get to what were things that you disliked about the show?
The meteor's a little too convenient.
Yeah, once you hear that about like an episode 8 or something. They're like,
I mean,
a
I
meteor.
get
They
it.
just mentioned the meteor. I had known about the meteor because I browse like image websites and they'll talk
Honestly,
about
meteor
stuff like that.
is the most overused trope of like ending the world. It's in everything.
Name them.
Okay, the fucking night of the creeps.
Okay.
What's it called? Killer Clown.
But they're not really
It's in
ending.
one-
Well, I guess they are ending the world.
It's in
sense, yeah.
One Piece. Not One Piece. One Punch Man. It's in this. It's in
fair enough.
Armageddon.
Well, I guess
I
you're
mean, this is
right.
off the top of my head. I just named 5 movies.
And those two movies, was it Armageddon in the same time? What was that other one that came out at the same time as Armageddon? Oh, the one with Morgan Freeman as president. I saw that one instead of Armageddon. I
I don't
forget it,
know.
whatever. Yeah, so I mean, they do that meteor thing. Sort of is like, oh, once you hear about that, like, yeah, that's the main character's gonna get killed by that. And I was like, yeah, he is
I
gonna
mean,
get
I
killed
don't
by that.
mind. It's still fucking awesome, but it's less like very predictable. That part is very predictable. I knew that they were both gonna die because of a meteor, like immediately.
That's just like Deep Impact was the other meteor movie that came out a couple months before or after
I thought that was
Armageddon.
a porn.
Same thing. It's Morgan Freeman, so it could be. Yeah, I
He's
thought
narrating it.
that was sort of a weak thing to do. I was also kind of disturbed that Inuyashiki didn't come to the rescue a little bit quicker. Once when Hiro was shooting people everywhere in the street, and like he was just
Yeah,
at home eating dinner with his family. I was like, well, wouldn't you want to be scanning for this kid every day? Because he did like shoot a couple people before that.
because he doesn't know how to use his own
Yeah, I guess
body.
you're right. Because the Ando had to teach him how to do some of
Like
that
that
stuff.
fucking kid is grew up in a technological generation. He knows how to hack his own body. This guy doesn't know anything. He has to learn it from like Ando and shit.
So they didn't really fight until the 10th episode or the 11th episode. Did you think that was too long to wait for their battle, or did you think that was like worth the wait for it?
No, it was like the 9th or 10th. That was where he rips his arms off and
Yeah,
everything.
that was sort of like the culmination of waiting to see these two guys battle, because
Yeah.
you're watching those opening credits and it's just them like kind of destroying each other in the opening credits, and like, when are they gonna fight? When are they gonna fight? And then you realize if they fight, it'll probably be end of the series. How many times can main characters battle without it being repetitive? And I think
Yeah.
it does a good enough job to show.
It was a cool fight.
Yeah, and I was like really thrown for a loop when Hero sort of becomes a good guy in one episode, and I was like, this can't last forever, can it? Because like then you're
Yeah.
wondering like, what are we gonna do with him? Because they decide, listen, this, even though he starts like healing people from their cancers, which is another cool superpower, they're able to heal people. Then like he decides, fuck it, nobody's gonna ever. He wants to destroy all of Japan essentially in one episode, and then
Minus his pube head friend
his
and
girlfriend and
her
her
grandma.
grandma, and they survive, which is good. But the girlfriend is still a bit of an idiot because I guess she sees the good in him, whatever
She could have
that
taken
means.
that money too. She didn't take the money. What's wrong
Well,
with
which
her?
makes her, I guess, sort of a better character than expected. I
Better
hope.
character. Take the fucking money.
Um,
Are you kidding?
and I thought it was good. I thought there could have been more character development, but I guess over a span of 10 or 11 episodes, you can do that because I've seen Netflix shows that have a lot of character development. But the
I think
character,
they did great character development.
yeah, just for Hiro and Ichiro, yeah. Everybody else
And
is sort
Ando.
of like, yeah, Endo was all right. I think I didn't, know much
I mean,
about
he
him.
starts out this incredibly depressed person, and then he realizes life is worth living anyway because look at this old man who's like so great.
And then he becomes incredibly depressed at the end. And he starts crying. But I
Yeah.
guess that's what happens when your old friend.
Maybe him and
decides to-
Pubehead will fuck and get
That'd be
over their
nice.
sadness.
But yeah, I
You see
thought
the grandma get in on it too. So,
yeah, right. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the series just like I said. Like we explained too much without getting off a topic.
you're really articulate.
Thank you. I'd give this for a series for what it is. I'd give it I really enjoyed it, so I would give it a 9 out of 10. Actually having finger guns, finger bang from South Park. It's like that, but you actually
Yeah.
kill people.
Okay. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. Trolling the trolls
That was a
by
very
killing
satisfying
them
episode.
through their phones. That is lovely.
So with that, Danny, what's the final word?
Guns!
The horror deconstruction.